Welcome to this edition of Meet the Mustangs. Joining us again is head basketball coach Mark Coleman. Mark, welcome back.
Great to be back, Mike.
It really is great this time of the season. You and I were talking before we went on air that this really is a fun season to watch since the Fort Lewis game up in Durango. What do you credit? The guys are playing so well now. Of course, it's great coaching, but what has changed in those last 6-7 games?
I really think the Fort Lewis game was a wake-up call, and we were playing well, and we had just beaten Christian, and basically at the buzzer, and then we had a great win against Mines, and we played well against the University of Colorado, and then we didn't do the things that we had been doing to get to that point against Adams State, and it just pretty much carried over against Fort Lewis, and I think the guys needed to refocus. They're as you and I talk about all the time, it's still a young group, and we had some success last year, but not as much as we've had so far this year. And it's always trying to make sure that we put them on the right path and keep them on the right path. And when they start to sway or start to veer off a little bit, try and get them on the right path again. And I really think the Fort Lewis game was a wake-up call.
Well, you mentioned somewhere around that time that you thought the key to us winning out was somebody stepping up to help TJ and Chad scoring. You mentioned Andy Solich. How big has he been in this winning streak?
Andy's been incredible. And when Andy is going, he just does so many things. And not that he rebounds more or he plays better defense and things like that, but he opens everything up for everyone else. And all of a sudden, Andy's on the right side a lot, so all of a sudden the left side of the floor is a little bit more open, and the inside's a little bit more open, and they just key on him. And you can hear guys of the other teams just yelling, shooter, shooter, whatever. And whether Andy's shooting the ball well or not, they know that potential is there. And up to probably about a month ago, Andy wasn't shooting the ball well, and teams were still keying on them, and we were still pretty much in a funk. And as you've seen since I've been here, we have to shoot the ball well to be effective because we don't get an established big man, and we're not always overly quick, and we don't press and things like that. So if we can get people shooting the ball well, and which has been Andy, especially the last few weeks, then it makes us a lot more effective, and then all of a sudden somebody else has been picking up the slack also.
We've said over the last few years that really there needs to be a leader on the floor. One of the team needs to step up and be that guy. In the last few weeks, talk about how Jerron McIntosh has stepped up and what he's meant to the team.
Jerron's been incredible, Mike, and again, you've seen him the last 2 years especially, that the things that Jerron does that makes us successful is that he does the intangibles, he does the little things, that he'll chase down an offensive rebound, or a great case in point was the Fort Lewis game, where the last minute of the game he gets those 2 steals that no one expects it. And Jerron, in watching the film, baited Fort Lewis perfectly, and he hung back, and they didn't see him, and then all of a sudden on his first steal that he went in for a layup and gave us the lead was something that a freshman's never going to do, and if they do decide to do it, it's probably going to be a mistake. So but this was something Jerron felt and almost, I'm a senior, I'm one of the captains, I need to step up and do something to win this game, and that's what he did. He got the big steal to put us up 2, and then he got another steal, and we didn't score off of it, but it took away a possession from Fort Lewis, and it just gave us an opportunity to play with a little bit more confidence and play with a little bit less pressure on us. So the things that Jerron's been doing, only Jerron can do on this team, and he's constantly covers the best offensive player, and he had 2 straight double-doubles, which was against Pueblo and against Fort Lewis, which is amazing considering he's maybe 6'1" and maybe 150, 60 pounds.
Probably 4'7", 4'8".
Exactly. Exactly.
Smarts overcome.
That's exactly right. And hard work and determination and things like that. And Jerron's been, we couldn't expect anything more from him. He and Andy have been the 2 biggest keys, and TJ and Chad have been doing what they do, and neither one particularly had a good game against Adams. But again, we had guys step up, and again, it was Jerron and Andy.
Well, definitely Ryan and Juan give a great 180-degree look. The difference in styles to the point guards, they've been great.
They have been, and again, we didn't expect Ryan, 1, to play the point guard position, and 2, to start more than half the season. And he's been great. He takes care of the ball. Obviously, he has some shortcomings, but he makes up with it because he's so much smarter than a basketball IQ than people expect, and
especially for a freshman.
Especially for a freshman,
yeah.
Exactly. And now I think Juan is back. You know, he's been great the last 2 weeks. Basically, he had a great practice yesterday, and Juan is playing the way he played earlier in the year when we played Hawaii and played the Division I schools, and it almost seemed like he lost his confidence a little bit. And I think taking him out of the starting lineup and making him come off the bench actually instilled the confidence back in him, because we didn't need to count on him. He had someone else, and especially once we lost Nate, that we didn't have the third point guard that hopefully one of them could play well. And now we're down to two, and now Juan has stepped it up again another notch since really about 2 weeks ago. So if we can continue to get the good point guard play along with everyone else, then hopefully we'll be in good shape.
Well, folks, the RMAC conference is up in the air from top to bottom. It is going to be exciting. So we've got 5 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can happen. We could even make it to third place if everything fell right.
Exactly. And it's nice to have 3 games at home, and that was something else that was lacking in the last 2 years. Right now we're 14-4 at home, and so obviously we like to be at home, and we'd like to be at home for a playoff game, but it's going to take, starting with Western State on Friday, and we can't overlook them because they're in a fight for 8th place, and they won 2 games last weekend, and no game's easy in the RMAC. It doesn't matter who you're playing, and Chadron State has lost 12 games in a row, and if they were coming in Friday, I'd be terrified of them also.
Yeah.
And so it really doesn't matter who's coming in. Hopefully we'll continue to play well and see what happens. But again, as you and I talk about all the time, we have to win our games at home and then see what happens on the road.
Well, Coach, good luck the last couple of weeks, and we hope to see you in the playoffs right here in Silver City.
Thanks a lot, Mike.